Hey, Walking Dead fans, welcome back to the channel. Let's reach way back into season 1 and just take a moment and look again at what happened to Jim. First, I guess we should look at who was Jim. Jim is an Atlanta survivor. Him and his family were trying to get out of the city, and his family were killed, devoured by walkers, he said. But Jim eventually finds some other survivors and joins a camp. Jim had worked as an auto mechanic. Before the outbreak started, he was helping Dale, usually in the camp, work on the RV. At one point, Jim says he has a dream and he starts digging some holes and he doesn't know what for. He's like, I don't know why I'm digging these holes. But then once the camp gets overrun and a bunch of people die, he's like, oh yeah, now I remember why I dug those holes. It kind of seems like maybe the sun is getting to Jim a little bit too. The heat. Shane restrains Jim because he gets violent, and they tie him to a tree for a little while. But then he simmers down and he's cool after that. But it's during the camp attack that Amy dies. Jim is also bitten. He tries to hide it, but the next day while they're getting rid of the dead, Jackie notices, and then the entire camp notices. Of course, Daryl wants to take him out, and Rick's like, hey, we don't kill the living. Lots changed after that little confrontation, right? Jim eventually just gets too sick to keep going. Everyone is heading toward the CDC, but Jim just can't keep going, so he asks to be left behind. They leave him by a tree, and Jim refuses a pistol offered by Rick. Rick hasn't got to the CDC yet, so he doesn't know everybody's infected, but he knows when you get bitten, that's what they think infects you and the reason you reanimate. They don't know that everyone dies, reanimates, but Jim was bitten on the stomach. You know, it's one of those you can't cut the arm off or the leg off kind of thing. And when you're bitten, you do turn. That's what they thought. That's what they believed. And that is what actually happens. So they left Jim by a tree. But Jim did return one more time in season 3, but it was just his voice. He was one of the voices on the phone calls that came in to Rick at the prison after Lori died. And Rick was kind of going a little nutty. He received several phone calls. One of those voices was Jim. The others, of course, was Lori, Amy, and Jackie that I remember. But Jim's ultimate fate as a walker is unknown. Of course, he did die, surely probably by that tree, but he was able to walk. Nothing was wrong with his legs, so he surely got up and walked off after he reanimated. So he's out there walking around somewhere. He may have got killed or something happened to his walker self, fell into a ravine, or you never know what could have happened to a walker, but Jim got up and walked away. So as far as the walker against the tree that has grass and moss growing on it and stuff, that's not Jim. I don't think it's Jim. I guess Jim could have got up, walked around a while, and sat down by another tree and is still just sitting there. But if you'll watch these two scenes or notice the two walkers, they're just not the same scenes. Jim was left by a tree right off the side of the road. This is a tree. This walker here is out in the middle of the woods by this tree. So, you know, it's just two different places, two different walkers. It would be cool as heck. I mean, hey, I agree. It would be cool as heck if they had come across Jim by the tree again, or just Jim as a walker. But I've seen it a bunch of times that people said that this was Jim, and I maybe thought it was too there for a second when I first saw it. But then I realized, nope, that tree was right beside the road and nothing was wrong with Jim. They didn't tie Jim to the tree, so he should have been able to get up and walk off. Jim watched his family being eaten, so he told Lori to watch Carl, keep him close, keep him safe.
Then you're gonna beat my face in like Ed Peltier, aren't you?
He also defended Ed there for a second to Shane at one point, saying that's their marriage, not yours.
That is their marriage, that is not his. He is not judge and jury. Who voted you king boss, huh?
And Jim and Ed seem to get along, and by Jim saying that, that's their marriage, not his, he has no right to interfere and beat the shit out of Ed. And I think we've went over it in a different video talking about Shane. Did Shane have the right to kick Ed's ass for beating up Carol? And so many people agreed, yes, he did. He definitely had that right. He definitely should have beat him more maybe. But with Jim saying that's their marriage, not his, and defending Ed, it makes you ask the question a little bit at least, is Jim defending Ed being able to beat his wife is okay if it's their marriage and it's not his business, maybe he did some of the same things to his wife, so he just thought that's okay. Jim seemed like a really okay guy. Jackie thought he was an okay guy, but, something about me said Jim maybe wasn't 100% an okay guy. That's just the vibe I got. But that, in a nutshell, is who Jim was and what happened to Jim. Let me know what you thought about Jim, what vibes you got from him, and maybe where you think he's walking around, or if he still is as a walker. Let me know down in the comments below, and I will join you there. Hey, this is James in Nashville. As always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Dead Stuff.